New Chu, a country northeast of Yunnan. Almost 5,000 years ago, there was a powerful dynasty in the eastern continent called the Chu nation. The new Chu nation was the nation established by its descendants. It had been 300 years since its establishment. Although established 100 years later than the Yu nation, New Chu's prosperity was not inferior to that of the Yu nation. In fact, it was even better in some aspects. Unlike the Yu nation, where the royal family had long lost their authority, New Chu's imperial family, the Xiong family, had always held great power. They were domineering internally and were like hungry wolves to outsiders. From time to time, they would take a bite out of the surrounding countries. The Yu nation was the nation that New Chu wanted to annex the most. The frictions at the borders had never stopped. Small-scale wars broke out from time to time. Fortunately, after entering the modern era, the way of war had changed. The number of people who died had decreased when they used guns and cannons to attack from afar compared to ancient times. However, no matter how much the number dropped, people still died. Every year, tens of thousands of people die at the border. Almost every battle was started by New Chu. Because of this, everyone in the Yu nation, from the cabinet to the commoners, was filled with hatred for the nation. Even in the New Chu nation, there were many people who were full of complaints about the imperial family. These matters were almost public, and many could be found online. Su Jingxing had learned about the situation in New Chu from the internet. However, before this, he had never thought that the New Chu nation would impose such harsh sanctions on the Yu nation. Cut off the birth of a new martial sage. Without a martial sage holding the fort, a nation would automatically disintegrate without any attacks. The Xiong family of New Chu was too ruthless. The Xiong family assassinated the potential successors in the Yu nation. Didn't the Yu nation retaliate? After a moment of silence, Su Jingxing's essence soul asked, according to what I know, the people of New Chu are not living comfortably under the Xiong family's dominant rule. Especially compared to the Yu nation, although the New Chu people did not have to worry about food and shelter, they had many restrictions on their freedom. Of course we retaliated. Xia Tsangxuan replied, just as you said, this is not the ancient times. The Xiong family has always been domineering. The complaints from their people are getting louder and louder. We have also managed to rope them in to create trouble, and find their potential people to assassinate. In the past 100 years, a new martial sage hasn't emerged in New Chu either. However, the current martial sage of the New Chu is much younger than me. He has only lived for less than 200 years. The other party still has more than 160 years left to guard the New Chu void world. As for me, if you still won't appear, I will be completely annihilated in at most half a year. Xia Tsangxuan smiled bitterly. In my current state, I can only appear once, and the appearance can only last for half an hour at most. Before that, in order to extend my existence, I sacrificed and refined my essence soul, divine weapon, and the kingdom-defending jade seal to hold out for more than 100 years. But, overall, it's still good. At the very end. Wait, interrupted Su Jingxing's essence soul. You said you also sacrificed the kingdom-defending jade seal? The kingdom-defending jade seal. Xia Tsangxuan had actually sacrificed and refined it. In that case, how would the new martial sage quickly hold the fort over the void world? Take for example, Su Jingxing. It was easy to kill ostrich and puffer fish monsters, but when he encountered the hidden thunder dragon beard beast, he almost died in its abdomen. And it was all thanks to the 9 souls ring that he escaped. I had no choice. Xia Tsangxuan sighed. After my lifespan ended, my physical body could no longer move, and my essence soul began to be restricted. In the face of the void beast's attacks and the invasion of the Xiong family ****, I had no choice but to refine the jade seal. But don't worry, I've already prepared most of the materials for the new jade seal over the past 100 years. Without waiting for Su Jingxing to speak, Xia Tsangxuan quickly went on, to forge the kingdom-defending jade seal, one needs innate primordial energy, 10,000-year-old polar ice soul, 7-colored heavenly crystal, and soul return stone. I found both the innate primordial energy and the 10,000-year-old polar ice soul, and they are hidden in 2 secret places. I found the location of the 7-colored heaven crystal, but I haven't retrieved it yet. There's only one clue for the soul return stone. So. Cough. I know, I'm really sorry, but I had no choice. Xia Zhengxuan sighed. I'll dissipate soon. If possible, I hope you can continue to guard the U-Nation on my behalf. Over the past 400 years, I've also collected many good things. For example, I still have a divine weapon seed hidden somewhere. Above spirit weapons are divine weapons. The soul's ring you have can also be called a divine weapon, but its lethality is limited. If you want to use a divine weapon seed, it's best to find a real weapon. A weapon with spirit weapons attributes. Other than that, there are 3 more sage origin fruits that can help you reach the 3rd class of the Void Soul Realm. 3rd class of the Void Soul Realm? Su Jingxing's essence soul repeated in puzzlement. Yes, 3rd class of the Void Soul Realm. Xia Zhengxuan smiled. The essence soul can become a primordial spirit after going through the transformations through the Void Soul, soul fixation, and soul formation. The breakthrough of these 3 small realms is not easy. In order to make it easier to calculate and be clear which level one is at, these 3 minor realms were subdivided into 9 classes back in the ancient times. When the essence soul has just been born, 1st class of the Void Soul Realm. Take your essence soul state for example. It's about to enter the 2nd class. The consumption of the sage origin fruit can speed up the transformation of the essence soul. 3 sage origin fruits are enough for you to reach the 3rd class. By the way, the saint origin fruits are nurtured using the national faith through the kingdom defending jade seal. Xia Zhengxuan added with a grin. Old wily fox. Su Jingxing cursed inwardly. Xia Zhengxuan's words were filled with temptation. Want more sage origin fruits? If you do, you'll have to force a new kingdom defending jade seal first. Compared to the divine weapons used by essence souls, the sage origin fruits were undoubtedly more useful. This was the first time Su Jingxing had heard of such a fruit, but he was immediately tempted. Yu Donglio's memories did not show how one could strengthen the essence soul and move from void soul to soul fixation. Other than the time when he killed the ostrich creature and absorbed the strange energy from its corpse, Su Jingxing had only tried to do so by increasing his soul power bit by bit. Now, he just had to consume the sage origin fruit. Xia Zhengxuan was afraid that Su Jingxing wouldn't want to guard the void world, so he used this little trick. Su Jingxing admitted that he was willing to take the bait. In any case, he still had to protect the U-Nation for 10 years. It was no big deal to take this opportunity to forge a new kingdom defending Jade Seal. Xia Zhengxuan thought he had tricked Su Jingxing. Little did he know that Su Jingxing had also tricked him. I agree. Facing Xia Zhengxuan's smile, Su Jingxing also smiled and said, since Senior has said so, I promise to try to reconstruct the kingdom defending Jade Seal, but I can't guarantee that I will succeed. Senior has also said that there is only one clue to the soul returning stone among the 4 treasures. It's still unknown whether I can find it. It's okay. Xia Zhengxuan was a little excited. Just do your best. Forging the kingdom defending Jade Seal is filled with difficulties to begin with. It's good that you're willing to agree. With that, he no longer hesitated and told Su Jingxing the location of the divine weapon seed, the sage origin fruit, and the forging method of the Jade Seal. He also shared the clues regarding the soul return stone. Finally, he said in a low voice, if the Xia family in the capital offends you, you don't have to hold back. You can teach them a lesson, suppress them, or exterminate them. Su Jingxing was surprised. Are you serious, Senior? I'm about to dissipate completely. Is there a need to joke? Xia Zhengxuan smiled. After 400 years of development, the Xia family, which started from me now has descendants all over the 18 prefectures of the Yu nation. Although the one in the capital is a main branch. Forget it, let's not talk about it. In short, if the Xia family in the capital offends you one day, you don't have to have any misgivings. You can deal with them however you want. With that, his body distorted and began to fade, turning transparent. I'll leave the Yu nation in your hands. The last sound echoed in his ears. Xia Tsangxuan became so transparent that he disappeared completely. Su Jingxing's essence soul stood still and fell into deep thought. Perhaps it was an illusion, but Xia Tsangxuan's tone was especially complicated when he mentioned the Xia family in the capital. The Xia family in the capital was the Yu nation's imperial family. Although they no longer had any power, their status was evident and they were also capable enough. Yet as their ancestor, Xia Tsangxuan had told Su Jingxing that he could deal with them at will, even if he had to exterminate them. Was this what an ancestor would say? It could only be said that there was something wrong with the Xia family in the capital that even their ancestor, Xia Tsangxuan, could not stand. Su Jingxing had seen talks about the Xia family online. They indeed did not have a good reputation. As for what exactly happened, it was unclear. From the looks of it, the problem with the Xia family in the capital was extraordinary. However, as long as they did not provoke him, Su Jingxing had no interest in paying them any attention. Xia Tsangxuan dissipated completely. Su Jingxing had to quickly verify whether there were really treasures at the locations he had shared. The first was the divine weapon seed. Considering that the few treasures were hidden separately in the various prefectures of the Yu nation, Su Jingxing directly passed through the border membrane using the essence soul to retrieve them. Of course, before heading there, he would return to the southwest corner and repair the border membrane torn by the pufferfish monster and the hidden thunder dragon beard beast. Then, he returned to the center, passed through the border membrane, and arrived at the Baozhan prefecture. Xia Changxian hid the divine weapon seed in a rift valley in Baozhan prefecture. The rift valley was 500 meters deep, and 3 restrictions were set up in the deepest depths. Su Jingxing followed Xia Tsangxuan's instructions and successfully removed the restriction. The essence soul entered the depths and found a special wooden box that contained the divine weapon seed. Wrapping the wooden box in soul power, it soared into the sky and returned to the void world. It then went to the Qianxiang prefecture to get 3 sage origin fruits. This time, Xia Tsangxuan had hidden them at the bottom of a lake. The surface of the lake was normal while 3 restrictions were placed at the edge of the center. The restrictions left behind by Xia Changxian all work in coordinate with one another. Once one was activated, the other 2 would also erupt. Therefore, special steps were required to remove them. One wrong step and one would be attacked. As for the lethality and destructive power of the restrictions, Su Jingxing wasn't interested in knowing. Since Xia Tsangxuan dared to leave behind restrictions to protect the treasure, the might of the restrictions was definitely powerful. Even if they couldn't kill a first-grade martial artist, they could severely injure a second-grade martial artist. Su Jingxing wasn't interested in what exactly would happen. Similarly, he successfully removed the restrictions and obtained the special wooden box containing the sage origin fruit. Wrapped in soul power, the essence soul returned to the void world with the wooden box. Without stopping, it went to the Wulong prefecture to obtain the innate primordial energy and the 10,000-year-old polar ice soul. The remaining 7-colored heavenly crystal was hidden in Xifang prefecture. Su Jingxing decided to go there using his main body. The essence soul returned to his physical body. Other than the sage origin fruits, all the other treasures were placed into his palm space. Carrying the 3 sage origin fruits, the essence soul returned to the void world and first swallowed one before digesting and absorbing it. The structure of the essence soul was extremely special. Before this, Su Jingxing had been making attempts. He never thought that the essence soul could also devour things, especially unique treasures like the sage origin fruit. It was nurtured using the kingdom-defending jade seal and gathered the faith of the people. Such a method of birth was simply unheard of. National faith? Faith in what aspect? Although Xia Zhangshuan did not elaborate, it was most likely related to patriotism. The more prosperous the dynasty, the more its people loved it, the stronger their faith. The stronger their faith, more or better quality sage origin fruits would be produced. The higher the quality of the sage origin fruits and the more there were, the stronger the kingdom-defending martial sage would naturally become. This virtuous cycle was even better than Su Jingxing had imagined. No wonder a martial sage with the kingdom-defending jade seal was much stronger than a martial sage without it. Xia Zhangshuan had dissipated so quickly that Su Jingxing had forgotten to ask if he had entered the soul fixation realm. On second thought, there was a high chance that he had. If it wasn't for that, Xia Zhangshuan's essence soul wouldn't have lasted for more than 100 years after his lifespan was up. Even if he had sacrificed and refined himself. In other words, Xia Zhangshuan was stronger than Yu Donglu. Feeling the sage origin fruit enter its stomach, the essence soul's entire body felt numb as it slowly nourished and transformed. Su Jingxing silently adapted to it. A moment later, he took out the second fruit and swallowed it. From the outside, the sage origin fruit was a glowing date that could be swallowed in one bite. New Chu Nation. The capital, Qingtian City. In a towering tower in the northwest corner of the magnificent imperial city. In the spacious and bright secret chamber was a middle-aged man with a burly figure and bulging muscles. His upper body was bare, and his hair was disheveled. His eyes were closed, and he was barely breathing. Suddenly, he opened his eyes, which shone brightly. Dead? The middle-aged man murmured, his eyes glowing. Good, the old thing is finally dead. After dragging on for so many years with me, he has finally dissipated completely this time. Without the old thing blocking the way, the Yu-nation is now New Chu's. Suddenly, a cold glint flashed across the middle-aged man's eyes. He exclaimed in shock and anger, how is this possible? When did a new transcendent grade appear in the Yu-nation? Ned old thing, no wonder he completely dissipated. So it turns out he has found a new kingdom-defending martial sage. Heh, a new martial sage. The middle-aged man's eyes were cold and murderous. Ned old thing, do you think the country will be safe after finding a new martial sage? I'd like to see what abilities this new martial sage has to guard the Yu-nation. The void world, the area of the Yu-nation. Su Jingxing's essence soul, which had just digested the third sage origin fruit, was suddenly alerted. The 9 souls ring circling above his head spun at high speed, releasing flames. Someone was spying on me through a heavenly secret art. In his essence soul state, Su Jingxing stood up and recalled his senses from a few seconds ago. Moments later, he confirmed that he was not mistaken. There was indeed someone spying on him. However, because of the timely shielding by the 9 souls ring, it blocked out the other party's deep prying. In other words, the other party knew of Su Jingxing's existence, but he didn't know where he was or his exact strength. Who could it have been? Why are they spying on me? Su Jingxing pondered. Someone had used a heavenly secret art to spy on him right after Xia Zhangshuan's death. Could it be the imperial family of New Chu? Intuition. Realizing that he was being spied on, Su Jingxing immediately felt that it had something to do with the New Chu nation. Such first instincts were often the closest to the truth. Especially when he had sensed it with his essence soul, the accuracy was above 90%. At this thought, Su Jingxing's good mood from advancing into the third class of void soul disappeared. New Chu, New Chu. This country had always coveted the Yu-nation and wanted to annex it completely. Before this, Xia Zhangshuan was their must-kill target. Now, Su Jingxing had replaced Xia Zhangshuan as the must-kill target. Of course, Nu Chu's imperial family and martial sage did not know of Su Jingxing's true identity at the moment. This gave Su Jingxing time to become stronger. Su Jingxing didn't need to intervene in the war between countries. With the U nation's military strength and the number of top-ranked experts, it was almost impossible for Nu Chu to forcefully annex them. Unless a martial sage participated. A martial sage was the factor in deciding the ultimate outcome between the two countries. In other words, the Nu Chu's martial sage was Su Jingxing's target. What realm is Nu Chu's martial sage in? Soul formation. The other party could force Xia Zhangxuan to sacrifice and refine everything. Even if he isn't in soul formation, he is at least in the 9th class of the Void Soul realm. Su Jingxing was currently in the 3rd class of the Void Soul realm, at least 6 classes below from the other party. These 6 classes were not so easy to catch up to. After consuming the 3 sage origin fruits, Su Jingxing had a clearer understanding of the 9 classes of the Void Soul realm. It could be said that every step forward required a full-body cleansing. Such a change could not be eliminated by simply consuming the sage origin fruit. The sage origin fruit only provided the energy for the transformation. How to fully unleash the energy and how to use it was the key difficulty. Moreover, Su Jingxing sensed that as the transformation progressed, the amount of sage origin fruits required would increase. Now, 3 sage origin fruits could allow the essence soul to step into the 3rd class of the Void Soul realm. If he wanted to take another step forward and reach the 4th class, Su Jingxing estimated that he would need at least 5 sage origin fruits. Without the kingdom defending Jade Seal, it was impossible to obtain the sage origin fruit. At this thought, Su Jingxing became anxious. I have to forge a new kingdom defending Jade Seal as soon as possible. Right, before that, I have to use the divine weapon seed. Su Jingxing had also chosen his target. The Wandering Dragon Saber. After Su Jingxing obtained this spirit weapon saber that belonged to the Rising Dragon Saber King, Lu Chenglong, he had placed his own mental imprint on it. He would add the divine weapon seed to the Wandering Dragon Saber and turn it into a divine weapon. The combat strength of the essence soul would immediately increase by more than half. This was the first time he had heard of and seen a divine weapon seed. Su Jingxing's main body opened the special wooden box. The moment he saw the divine weapon seed, a mysterious aura from the void world surged towards him. As time was tight, Xia Zhangxuan, who was in a remnant soul state, did not have time to tell him the source of the divine weapon seed. At this moment, when he saw this divine weapon seed that looked like jelly, was the size of an adult man's fist, translucent purple in color, its body suffused with a dim glow, and its interior was dotted with sparkling stars, his first thought was that it came from the void world. Apart from the mysterious aura of the void world, the divine weapon seed also gave Su Jingxing the illusion of extreme rejection. It was as if it was telling Su Jingxing that it did not belong to this world. It did not belong to the U nation or Earth star. The divine weapon seed from the void world, murmured Su Jingxing. The void world was infinitely mysterious and spanned countless worlds. Which world would the divine weapon seed have come from? Or rather, is the divine weapon seed produced by the void world? Shaking his head, Su Jingxing stopped thinking about it. How and where did the divine weapon seed come from? These questions were too distant. Perhaps even Xia Zhangxuan did not know the answers to them. All Su Jingxing needed to know was how to use it. He released his true essence and wrapped it around the divine weapon seed, placing it together with the wandering dragon saber. In the next second, the jelly-like divine weapon seed automatically turned into a pool of liquid that covered every corner of the wandering dragon saber. Then, the wandering dragon saber floated up and hung in midair, emitting a purple glow. Throughout the entire process, Su Jingxing vaguely sensed a unique aura slowly emerging from the wandering dragon saber. In the end, this aura became the void world aura that Su Jingxing was familiar with. When the aura stabilized, the glow around the wandering dragon saber faded and it returned to normal. No, at first glance, it looked exactly the same as before. However, on closer inspection, one would discover that the blade of the wandering dragon saber was slowly alternating between being ethereal and corporeal. Its physical body was a spirit weapon, and its illusory body was a divine weapon. Swish! Su Jingxing's essence soul descended from the void world and landed on the ground, reaching out to grab the wandering dragon saber. With a thought, the wandering dragon saber turned from physical to illusory. Even though it had turned illusory, it was still powerful in the essence soul's grip. Success! With the divine weapon, wandering dragon saber, Su Jingxing's essence soul no longer had to fight the void world monsters barehanded. The sword eyes, the Tiangang demon suppression hand, and the heaven origin saber required soul power to execute. However, the divine weapon, wandering dragon saber, did not. It possessed its own lethality and destructive power. Moreover, it had inherited the attributes of a spirit weapon. The higher the battle intent, the stronger the power. Su Jingxing held the saber and sensed it for a while before the essence soul took it and soared into the sky, returning to the void world. The essence soul had to hold the fort in the void world. Xia Cangshuan had completely dissipated. If Su Jingxing's essence soul did not stay in the void world, when the void world monsters escaped from the darkness at any time, that would cause another catastrophe. Although he was unwilling to admit it, Su Jingxing's essence soul was indeed trapped for the time being. He was bound to the void world. Fortunately, the movements of his main body were unrestricted, and the blood doppelganger could also go around freely. The essence soul had to stay in the void world for the time being, but it wouldn't affect him much. This essence soul was obtained by accident. The divine defense card was too magical. He wondered if he could extract it again in the future. Of course, there was also the new cultivation path left behind by the nameless senior in the underground space below the valley cliff where the big white goose was. Becoming a martial sage using the physical body. The genius theory created by the nameless senior was only missing a deduction card. No, perhaps several. Su Jingxing kept that in mind. The seven-colored heavenly crystal was hidden in the Dongting mountain of the Xifang prefecture. After Su Jingxing retracted Thunderbolt, his main body controlled the enlarged Thunderbolt and flew straight towards Dongting mountain. With one charge, Thunderbolt's energy had surged by 2/3, enough for Su Jingxing to use for a while. Swoosh! 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 He sped up. Su Jingxing stepped on Thunderbolt and charged towards Dongting mountain like a bolt of lightning. Speaking of which, I think I've heard of Dongting mountain somewhere. During the flight, Su Jingxing muttered the words, Dongting mountain, and frowned in thought. From the beginning, he had found the name, Dongting mountain, very familiar. Before this, I seem to have seen it some. Right, Dongting mountain. Suddenly, Su Jingxing's eyes lit up as he recalled where he had seen the words, Dongting mountain. In Di Donglei's memories. Di Donglei, the sect master of the Divine Fist sect, one of the three major sects in Qinghe City. After Su Jingxing killed him, the memory card he extracted contained information about Dongting mountain. Because Di Donglei's father was once a disciple of the Celestial Pole sect on Dongting mountain. That's right, Dongting mountain was the location of the Celestial Pole sect, a large sect in the Yu nation that had existed for more than 1,000 years. Di Donglei's father was once a disciple of the Celestial Pole sect. As such, his understanding of the Celestial Pole sect was very detailed. There were also records of where the entrance to the Celestial Pole sect was and how to enter their defense array formation. On the other hand, Xia Cangshuan only told Su Jingxing that the seven-colored heaven crystal was at the back of Dongting mountain. In the old fellow's eyes, for Su Jingxing, a martial sage, to enter the Celestial Pole sect to pick up a few pieces of seven-colored heaven crystals was no different from entering his own backyard. Little did he know that Su Jingxing's main body was only in the 3rd grade. F*CK, would I not be able to obtain the 7-colored heaven crystal if I were to barge into the forbidden back mountain area of a 1,000-year-old sect as a third-grade martial artist? In D. Domlay's memories, the back mountain of the Celestial Pole sect is a forbidden area. Doesn't that mean that the 7-colored heaven crystal is in the forbidden area? Since it's a forbidden area, are there any guards? As a 1,000-year-old sect, there were undoubtedly many top-ranked experts in the Celestial Pole sect. Third-grade and second-grade martial artists were fine, but if there were first-grade martial artists guarding the forbidden area, Su Jingxing might not necessarily be able to obtain the 7-colored heavenly crystal. Of course, now that things had come to this, Su Jingxing was definitely going into the back mountain of the Celestial Pole sect. If he really couldn't win and was trapped in there, at most, his essence soul would descend. Let the entire Celestial Pole sect have a taste of the might of a martial sage. Cough cough. With that in mind, Su Jingxing drove Thunderbolt without any scruples. When he was close to Dongting Mountain, he put away Thunderbolt and descended from the sky. When he landed on the ground, his facial features shifted. His height, hair, and physique all changed. Turning into another person, he concealed his aura and gently drifted into Dongting Mountain. He found the entrance and quietly entered the defensive array formation. In D. Domlay's memories, as long as the defensive array formation of the Celestial Pole sect was not activated, entering would not cause any abnormalities. Once activated, one would need to hold an exclusive token to enter. As long as nothing major happened, the Celestial Pole sect would not activate the defensive array formation. This gave Su Jingxing an opportunity. He slipped in silently and shuttled through the sect like a ghost, heading straight for the back mountain. In order to end this quickly, he wasn't in the mood to take another look at the situation inside the Celestial Pole sect. He only felt that there weren't many people in the sect. Su Jingxing released his perception and sensed less than 100 people in the Celestial Pole sect. A 1,000-year-old sect has less than 100 people guarding the mountain gate. Isn't that a little too few? As he pondered, Su Jingxing approached the back mountain. At this moment, roar! A loud and irritable roar suddenly came from the back mountain. Quick, suppress him. The array formation is broken. 5, 6, 7, quickly take over. Everyone else, disperse and don't get close to the other party. 9, what are you doing? Quickly back up. Bang! Roar! Angry roars, muffled sounds, and snarls sounded at almost the same time in the chaos. Then, a series of muffled groans and shrieks came. A majestic, manic, and tyrannical aura was released with a bang and surged in all directions. Su Jingxing quietly approached and saw hundreds of men, women, and children in uniform gathered at the entrance of the back mountain. They surrounded a disheveled old man who was more than 2 meters tall and had grayish-black mist wrapped around his body. His facial features were distorted and his eyes were red. The violent and tyrannical aura came from the old man. It gave one an extreme sense of suppression, anger, and impatience. They wanted to shout and vent. However, the hundreds of people surrounding the old man were all emitting a faint golden glow, as if to offset the invasion of this aura. These people spread out in an orderly manner, forming a large array formation and a small array formation. The large array formation on the outside had the most people presiding over it. There were dozens of them in a group, and they released dense true energy of the same type that filled the air. They connected together and formed an array net that enveloped the old man, preventing him from escaping. There were fewer people involved with the small array formations inside, but all 20 or so of them were top-ranked experts. The true essence released transformed into even stronger true energy that continuously condensed into a ball to suppress the old man. Between the 2 array formations, there were 7 other people who kept moving according to the changes in the array formations. One of the middle-aged men shouted orders from time to time. Not far behind him, a dozen people had fallen to the ground. They were groaning and had lost their mobility. Su Jingxing watched the entire process curiously. Previously, he was wondering why there were so few people in the Celestial Pole sect. Now he understood. Most people had come to the back mountain to capture the roaring old man. This old man had clearly lost his mind, as if he had suffered chi deviation. However, he seemed to be from the Celestial Pole sect. The middle-aged man and company had set up 2 array formations to trap him, not to kill him, but to suppress him. However, the suppression was not very effective. This was because the middle-aged man and the others had not used their full strength, or rather, they did not dare to use enough strength that might be fatal. As such, while the frenzied old man was unable to rush out of the array formation, his attacks were exceptionally fierce, repeatedly injuring the people maintaining the array formation inside. Su Jingxing observed carefully and sensed the old man's condition. He realized that the more agitated and furious the old man was, the stronger his aura became. As time passed, the 2 array formations set up by the middle-aged man and the others began to show signs of breaking. Roar! Roar! Bang! 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 The snarls were like a beast's roar, deafening and surging through the air. With every impact, the old man exerted more and more strength. The aura on his body became more and more prominent and strange. Finally. Boom! A loud bang erupted like thunder. A terrifying shockwave erupted from the disheveled old man's body. The violent force instantly broke through the 2 array formations. Under the shockwave, everyone spat out blood and fell backward to the ground. Who? 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 Swish! 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 The shockwave did not stop and continued to spread out. It was extremely fast and arrived in front of Su Jingxing in an instant. Su Jingxing activated his transcendent body and forcefully resisted the impact with his guard up. However, in the other directions, the shockwave continued to sweep out. In just a few seconds, it swept through the entire Dongting mountain. Buzz! The sky trembled. Ripples appeared in the air. The defensive array formation was passively activated, revealing a huge hemispherical light barrier that enveloped Dongting Mountain and blocked the shockwave. Boom! 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 Buzz buzz buzz! The power of the array formation and the shockwave collided, emitting light. The huge barrier rippled. In the end, the defensive array formation won and blocked the escaping shockwave. Roar! In the back mountain, the crazed old man was still roaring. Wisps of black gas that resembled poisonous pythons wrapped around his body and invaded the air. Su Jingxing's pupils constricted. Demonic energy. Demonic energy had appeared on the crazed old man's body. Demonic energy could not be born easily. The source of it was the ancient demons. For example, the blood-seeker beasts that Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger had wiped out carried demonic energy on them. However, there was very little demonic energy in the blood-seeker beasts' bodies. Furthermore, because it had seeped into the blood-seeker essence energy, the blood doppelganger could absorb and refine the demonic power and characteristics it carried. If there was too much demonic energy, it could only be sealed. A martial artist's true energy could resist the demonic energy, but not dissolve it. Of course, in ancient times, there were methods to refine demonic energy. However, these secret abilities had been lost. This was also the reason why Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger caused a heated discussion after killing all the blood-seeker beasts and was known as the beast-refining blood king. It was really difficult to get rid of demonic energy. Right now, the berserk old man was wrapped in demonic energy. The black, python-like demonic energy was almost corporeal. Without waiting for him to erupt, he knew the threat the old man posed. All disciples, listen up. Immediately retreat from the back mountain and set up the 9 revolution star array outside. All elders, listen up. Immediately set up the celestial pole demon suppression array to kill the demon. The middle-aged man shouted. With blood at the corner of his mouth, he released his aura fully. With the circulation of his cultivation, his imposing true essence lifted his body off the ground and into the air. Yes. The hundreds of disciples scattered around responded and retreated out of the mountain with their injured bodies. Swoosh! 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 All the elders soared into the sky and surrounded the crazy old man. Although everyone was injured and their faces were pale, no one was afraid nor did anyone escape. Under the middle-aged man's orders, they circulated their true essence and set up the array formation according to the steps of the celestial pole demon suppression array. They were fast. In less than 5 seconds, a huge mysterious imprint appeared in the air. It weighed down from above and enveloped the crazy old man. Roar! The berserk old man roared, endless killing intent surging in his scarlet eyes. Demonic energy surged from his body and charged towards the descending giant imprint. Buzz buzz buzz. The two collided, producing a dull and suppressed explosion that rippled through the air. The dust and sand on the ground were thrown in all directions as if they had encountered a tornado. Rings of air waves visible to the naked eye bloomed at the entrance and swept through the entire back mountain. Everywhere it passed, trees collapsed, heaps of soil splattered, and boulders cracked. At the center of the explosion, the crazy old man stood proudly. His hands were like eagle claws, and under the influence of the demonic energy, they continuously tore apart the imprints on his body. As for the terrifying pressure carried by the huge imprint, it didn't seem to exist. The berserk old man dashed left and right, jumping up and down. His movements were not affected at all. On the contrary, the light seals that formed the demon suppression array kept shattering under his demonic claws. Although they were quickly reconstructed, the crazy old man soon crushed them again. The middle-aged man and the others who were maintaining the array formation expended a lot of true essence. However, the demonic energy on the old man seemed to be endless. As true essence continued to be consumed and demonic energy surged, the crazy old man would definitely win. Once the old man escaped from the back mountain, the consequences would be unimaginable. In Su Jingxing's detailed perception, even without the augmentation of the demonic energy, the crazy old man still had the aura of a first-grade expert. It was already difficult to destroy a first-grade martial artist, let alone a first-grade who had become a heretic. It was almost impossible for the hundreds of disciples who had retreated from the back mountain and set up the array formation outside to block such a terrifying existence. Su Jingxing sensed the so-called 9 revolution star array. It was only a defensive array formation that relied on true energy to operate. With their numbers, they might be able to hold back the crazy old man for a while, but in the end, it would definitely collapse. To kill the old man, Su Jingxing would have to step in. No, to be precise, it was Su Jingxing in his essence soul state. I wonder if the power of the essence soul can destroy the old man's demonic energy. Roar! The roar shook the forest, waves of air surged, and flames surged into the sky. Buzz buzz buzz. Under the demon suppression array, the crazy old man became more and more berserk. Streaks of demonic energy coiled around his body like dragons and snakes, augmenting his claws and tearing apart the light seals. Thump! With both feet pushing off the ground, the berserk old man took advantage of the temporary hole in the demon suppression array and soared into the sky, pouncing towards a long-haired old woman. Swoosh! 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 The demonic claws tore through the air, spilling blood. In just a breath, the long-haired old woman was torn into pieces before she could even scream. No! An old man across from the long-haired old woman screamed miserably when he saw this scene. The true essence in his body surged, and he instantly released it all. His martial art true intent manifested, and a huge sword appeared in the air. It wrapped around him and charged towards the crazy old man. During this process, another empty area appeared in the demon suppression array. Hoo! Boom! A loud explosion that sounded like thunder resounded through the sky. The crazy old man was struck by the giant sword and slammed into the ground, creating a huge pit that was 7 to 8 meters deep and surrounded with cracks. However, he only had his clothes torn and was not injured. Demonic energy coiled around his body as he snarled like a poisonous python, making the old man look like a demonic god. Thump! There was a loud bang. The berserk old man soared into the sky again with surging demonic energy. Buzz! Under the maintenance of the middle-aged man and the others, the huge demon suppression array descended from above their heads. But boom! Accompanied by a deafening bang, the demon suppression array shattered. The light seals turned into specks of starlight that danced in the air. The middle-aged man and the others spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew back in all directions, crashing to the ground. When they landed on the ground, some of their bones broke, some of their true essence was depleted, some of them fainted on the spot, and some of them sank deep into the ground. Without even trying, they knew that they had lost the ability to continue moving. Roar! Although the crazy old man's demonic energy had weakened by more than half and he crashed into a huge pit for the second time when he fell back to the ground, he quickly recovered. The surging demonic energy continued to spread and wrap around the old man, causing him to break free from the ground and roar. Thump! The ground shook. Under the horrified gazes of the middle-aged man and the others, the crazy old man charged towards the periphery of the mountain with a terrifying aura. But at that moment, buzz! A ball of light suddenly appeared in the sky. A figure shrouded in a halo descended from the sky with torrential pressure. The moment he arrived at the back mountain, a terrifying pressure wrapped around everyone's hearts. The crazy old man who was charging seemed to have been struck by a huge hammer and fell miserably back onto the ground and into the pit. Roar! Even so, the crazy old man still snarled. With a roar, he charged out of the pit again and launched a violent attack at the glowing figure that was descending from the sky. Swoosh! Swoosh! 2 beams of sword light shot out from the eyes of the figure at the right time. They struck the crazy old man and forced him back into the pit. The frightening destructive power destroyed the old man's hands, arms, chest, body, and head inch by inch. Under sword eyes. The berserk old man's man that was wrapped in demonic energy was torn apart, crushed, and shattered. Only when it shattered into pieces and scattered at the bottom of the pit did the sword light and pressure disappear. Mixed blood seeker corpse discovered. Would you like to extract it? Yes. Jingxing quietly extracted a card. In his essence soul state, he floated in the air and released his soul power to cover the ball of black demonic energy at the bottom of the pit. With a thought, his soul power absorbed the surrounding sand to wrap around the demonic energy. It became a lump in the air. Jingxing carefully sensed to ensure that the demonic energy would not leak out and retracted his soul power. Thump! The football-sized black mud ball lost its control and fell to the edge of the pit. As the mud ball rolled, the eyelids of the middle-aged man and the others twitched. Subsided. A second ago, they were in despair, thinking that they were doomed this time. In the next second, the terrifying and ferocious old man turned into a pile of residue. Almost without any ability to resist, he was sliced into pieces by the sword light and scattered at the bottom of the pit. The change came so fast that the middle-aged man and company were stunned for a moment before they suddenly came to their senses. The Key Kingdom defending martial sage. As he came back to his senses, the middle-aged man struggled to get up from the ground and shouted excitedly at Jingxing's essence soul. I, Wu Chiefin of the Celestial Pole sect, thank the martial sage. Thank you, martial sage. Wang Kaimen of the Celestial Pole sect thanks the kingdom defending martial sage, for arriving and saving us. Greetings, martial sage. When the others heard Wu Chiefen's shout, they all echoed and joined in the thanking. Everyone sounded agitated and surprised. Martial sage. No one expected the martial sage to descend from the sky in time and kill the berserk old man. It had been decades since the last time a martial sage appeared. They did not expect the next appearance to be in the Celestial Pole sect. If not for the kingdom-defending martial sage, all of them would have died. The deranged old man was actually so terrifying. Fortunately, the martial sage arrived in time. What was going on with him? Su Jingxing's essence soul maintained a state of illusion. In this state, the essence soul would glow and conceal its figure and appearance. In the eyes of Wu Qifan, Wang Kaimen, and the others, Su Jingxing's entire body was glowing. They couldn't even take a few more glances at him. They could only lower their heads. Faced with the question, the sect master of the Celestial Pole sect, Wu Qifan, forced himself to stand up and replied respectfully, "Martial sage, this person who turned heretic was the supreme elder of the Celestial Pole sect, Luo Jinhong. He and two other supreme elders were guarding the entrance of the demon's den when demonic energy that suddenly surged invaded their bodies. The other two supreme elders couldn't withstand the corrosion of the demonic energy and died. Although Elder Luo Jinhong managed to withstand it, he was turned into a demon by the demonic energy. If not for the timely arrival of the martial sage, the Celestial Pole sect would have been wiped out by him." Demon's Den. Su Jingxing caught the main point. Yes, there is a demon's den at the bottom of the back mountain of the Celestial Pole sect. Wu Qifan replied respectfully, "We don't know much about the history of the demon's den either. We only know that the founder of the Celestial Pole sect chose to establish the sect in Dongting Mountain mainly to guard it. For the past 2,000 years, every generation supreme elders have guarded the entrance of the demon's den. Although no demons have ever come up, demonic energy will surge from time to time. At this time, we will use an array formation to force the demonic energy back. This time, the surge of the demonic energy was too fast and violent, which resulted in the death of two supreme elders and the conversion of one into a demon." Su Jingxing kept quiet. Demon's Den. There is actually a demon's den at the bottom of the back mountain of Dongting Mountain. The Celestial Pole sect's mission is to guard the demon's den. For thousands of years, they never stopped. From this point of view, Wu Qifan and the others are really noble. The demon's den was no joke. It was the lair of ancient demons. Regardless of whether the ancient demons were inside or not, just the remnant demonic energy was enough to cause widespread destruction. Its invasion of Luo Jinhong and his transformation into a demon was an example. Demonic energy was difficult to eliminate. Su Jingxing's essence soul could only kill Luo Jinhong with the sword eyes, but it could not eliminate the demonic energy. The black mud ball lying on the ground was filled with demonic energy. Su Jingxing had only temporarily imprisoned it. To eliminate the demonic energy, perhaps the Tiangang demon suppression hand can do so. Demon suppression, demon suppression. This incomplete soul skill left behind by the nameless senior could not have been named casually. It's most likely related to restraining demons and demonic energy. With this in mind, Su Jingxing wished he could get a few more deduction cards. Without the deduction card, cultivating the Tiangang demon suppression hand was a pipe dream. Unfortunately, deduction cards were rare. "Take me to the demon's den." With his mind racing, Su Jingxing suppressed his other thoughts and said in a middle-aged man's deep voice, "I'll send this demonic ball back while at that." "Yes." Wu Qifan exhaled, loosened his muscles and bones, and led the way. A few elders with lighter injuries also followed behind. Su Jingxing's essence soul floated in the air with the demonic ball. The group entered the depths of the back mountain. While the others were discussing excitedly with lingering fear, Su Jingxing's main body retreated silently and left the back mountain. He rushed back to the entrance of the sect and waited for an opportunity to leave. The demon had been eliminated, and the martial sage had arrived. The defensive array formation was quickly removed, and the huge semi-sphere of light disappeared. Su Jingxing's main body found the entrance he came in from and quietly returned outside. Deep in the back mountain. In an underground space 100 meters deep into a cave. In his essence soul state, Su Jingxing stood at the edge of a pitch-black cave with a diameter of 10 meters and an unknown depth, looking down at the bottom of the cave. The essence soul's vision was extremely special. As long as Su Jingxing was willing, he could see it from even 1,000 miles away. However, at this moment, in the face of this cave enveloped by the array formation, not much of the inside of the abyss-like demon's den could be seen. Su Jingxing estimated that his vision only reached 1,000 meters at most. There was nothing within 1,000 meters. It was empty except for a few wisps of demonic energy floating around. Retracting his gaze, Su Jingxing's essence soul asked, "Has something like this happened before?" "No." Wu Qifan replied respectfully, "In the past, the amount of demonic energy that surged was extremely limited, unlike this time, when a large amount of it gushed out in an instant. The three supreme elders were caught off guard and struck. If not for..." "There's no need to say anything else." Su Jingxing's essence soul interrupted indifferently, "I'll have to continue to trouble you guys with the situation here. However, I'll come and check again." Wu Qifan and the elders were excited. He took a deep breath to suppress his excitement. Facing Su Jingxing, he bowed and shouted respectfully, "Wu Qifan, on behalf of all the disciples of the Celestial Pole sect, thank you, martial sage." With Su Jingxing's words, the Celestial Pole sect was finally secured. The existence of the demon's den was like a mountain that weighed down on the hearts of all the upper echelons of the Celestial Pole sect. Unless absolutely necessary, Wu Qifan dared not let the disciples know. This time, Luo Jinhong had turned into a demon and almost slaughtered the entire sect. He didn't know how to deal with the aftermath. Now, with Su Jingxing's words, consolation would be much easier. A martial sage was paying attention to the demon's den. Almost half of the mountain above their heads had been moved away. It had been nearly 2,000 years since the founder of the Celestial Pole sect established the sect on Dongting Mountain. The supreme elders of each generation had guarded the demon's den for so long, and they had encountered demonic energy surging up, but not a single demonic creature. Not to mention the terrifying ancient demons. As such, there was a high chance that there were no ancient demons or demonic creatures in the demon's den. The founder of the Celestial Pole sect was most likely guarding against the leak of demonic energy. It was unknown how deep into the ground the demon's den was. If there was remnant devil energy inside, it wouldn't dissipate on its own as time passed. Instead, as time passed, the more they would fuse together, making it difficult to eliminate. Therefore, Wu Qifan and the other upper echelons of the Celestial Pole sect were wary of the demonic energy. Now that Su Jingxing, the martial sage, had joined them, they felt even more at ease. The demon's den concerned the safety of the entire U-nation. As long as one was a citizen of the U-nation, they would not want to see the demonic energy leak out. Under such circumstances, Su Jingxing got along very well with Wu Qifan and company. Therefore, he released the demonic energy from the demonic ball back into the demon's den. Before leaving, Su Jingxing casually mentioned that he had heard that there was a treasure in Dongting Mountain called the Seven-Colored Heaven Crystal. He wondered if he could exchange for 1 or 2 pieces. When Wu Qifan heard this, he immediately sent someone to bring 3 pieces and said that they would be gifted as specialties. The Seven-Colored Heaven Crystal was indeed precious. It could gather the power of the universe, cleanse one's mental will, as well as all emotions such as 7 affections and 6 desires. It was an important treasure to condense a divine embryo. But compared to a friendship with the martial sage, it was nothing. Putting everything else aside, just the transcendent grade alone gave him a lifespan of 360 years. For such a long period of time, as long as the martial sage occasionally took care of the Celestial Pole sect, the sect would make a killing. Things would not forever be smooth sailing for a 1,000-year sect. There were also similar factions that were enemies with the Celestial Pole sect. Only, the other parties were not in the U-nation. With the protection of the martial sage, it was equivalent to finding a solid trump card. A mere 7-colored heavenly crystal was nothing, even though only 1 or 2 7-colored heaven crystals would only be produced every 10 years. Wu Qifan and the others were secretly excited to get to know the martial sage. Su Jingxing, who had easily obtained the 7-colored heaven crystal, was also overjoyed. The essence soul left Dongting Mountain and caught up to its main body. When it put the 7-colored heaven crystals into the palm space, it also took out 4 cards. These 4 cards came from the heretic Luo Jinhong, the long-haired old woman he had killed, and the 2 supreme elders whose corpses had been left at the entrance of the demon's den. 4 people, 2 true essence cards with 9 and 16 years of cultivation respectively. 1 deduction card, 5 deduction chances, with a 70% chance of success each time. This success rate and number of uses were surprising. As expected of a supreme elder of the Celestial Pole sect, an expert who created his own ultimate technique. Only he could give such a deduction card. He should be able to complete the deduction of the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand with this deduction card. And that was indeed the case. Su Jingxing couldn't wait. He unlocked the card and deduced the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand. He successfully filled in the gaps in this soul skill and patched up 2/3 of the content. Originally, there was only the first half of the manual. This time, there was an additional section. Su Jingxing sensed carefully and realized that he could cultivate it now. Of course, it would take Su Jingxing a lot of time and a few martial arts practice cards to cultivate the Tiangang Demon Suppression Hand on his own. It was unknown if there were any martial arts practice cards among the tens of thousands of cards extracted from the Luori prefecture. There were too many cards, so Su Jingxing endured it for now. He held the 4th card in his hand, which was the card he had extracted after Luo Jinhong's death. After reading the information, his pupils constricted abruptly. The Heavenly Demon card. The card he extracted from Luo Jinhong's corpse was actually a Heavenly Demon card. Another new card. The Mixed Bloodseeker corpse that the notification indicated was different from Shirzini's inferior Bloodseeker corpse. He had obtained a regeneration card from the latter for organ regeneration. Luo Jinhong actually gave a Heavenly Demon card. The function of the Heavenly Demon card was both magical and powerful. After unlocking it, it could turn a person into a demon. Moreover, the person would be a demon who retained his consciousness with explosive power that he himself could control at will. Su Jingxing had seen the lethality and destructive power of Luo Jinhong as a demon. After the Heavenly Demon card was unlocked, the transformed demon would only be stronger than Luo Jinhong. It was just that the duration was too short. After the transformation, he only had 3 minutes. Once 3 minutes were up, he would lose this ability. In other words, the Heavenly Demon card was a one-time use card. Even so, Su Jingxing couldn't help but click his tongue inwardly. Transforming into a demon, this would be a great killing weapon if used well. Su Jingxing took a deep breath to suppress his excitement and put the card away. He kept the Heavenly Demon card and True Essence cards as backup for now. The last of the 4 treasures needed to forge the kingdom-defending Jade Seal was still missing. Among the 4 treasures, the Soul Return Stone was the most important. It was the key to absorbing the citizens' faith and mental power. Xia Tsangxuan only had one unverified clue about the Soul Return Stone. This clue pointed straight to the Black Flame Cave. Black Flame Cave, north of the Yu Nation, past Hong Nation, an area between Yu Nation and Guang Nation. It was a famous forbidden area on the eastern continent, a perilous land. Wait. Suddenly, Su Jingxing remembered something. If he remembered correctly, the hidden contents on the last page of the 9 Steps Trampling Heaven's Secret Manual was not martial arts, secret abilities, pill formulas, or important secrets. It was a passage and a map. The map pointed to a land of peril. That land of peril was not in the Yu Nation. Instead, it was located north of the Yu Nation, in a region between 2 large nations. There was a paragraph attached to the secret manual that introduced the danger zone and the perilous land within. One of the sentences had once moved Su Jingxing. He still remembered it clearly. Although the treasures in the land of peril can help one enter the transcendent grade, do not go there without entering first grade. Remember. Remember. Su Jingxing was stunned. Now that he thought back about it, he also connected it to the clue provided by Xia Tsangxuan. He could not help but be shocked. Could the treasure in the land of peril that the Wei family's ancestors mentioned be the soul return stone? Su Jingxing was bewildered. No, the function of the soul return stone is not to advance a person to the transcendent grade. This treasure must be something else. But the land of peril that the Wei family's ancestors mentioned is clearly the Black Flame Cave. The Black Flame Cave was a famous perilous land in the eastern continent. There were precious treasures and also fearsome dangers inside. Previously, Su Jingxing had planned to give it a visit after he reached the first grade. From the looks of it, he had to bring it forward. The ancestors of the Wei family warned their descendants not to go to the Black Flame Cave unless they were in the first grade. Su Jingxing's main body was in the third grade, while the essence soul had to guard the void world. Both of them were not suitable candidates. But there was no problem with the blood doppelganger. What was the most important thing about the first grade? It was not true essence cultivation of more than 100 years, nor was it a martial art true intent that could be released and remain active outside of the physical body for a long period of time. It was a divine embryo. The divine embryo was the manifestation of the fusion of the physical body, true essence, and soul into one. In this state, one's aura was restrained to the extreme, defense had reached perfection, and strength had climbed to the peak. It was the peak period of a martial artist. Yet, no matter how strong he was still a mortal body. How could he compare to the theoretically immortal blood doppelganger? At this thought, Su Jingxing immediately directed the blood doppelganger that was left in the Changyang Prefecture city to set off for the Black Flame Caves. The linear distance from Changyang Prefecture to Black Flame Caves was more than 10,000 kilometers. Even if the blood doppelganger were to shrink into a ball and fly, it would take at least 3 days to reach. During these 3 days, Su Jingxing's main body found an empty corner and took out the tens of thousands of cards he had extracted to read their descriptions. And it turned out. Essence Energy Card, Strength Enhancement Card, Internal Force Card, True Energy Card, Martial Arts Practice Card, Requiem Card, Equipment Card, Skill Card, Memory Card, Deduction Card. They're a mix of everything. Among them, there were 2 deduction cards. Each had 2 deduction chances, with a 20% probability of success each time. Another had 3 deduction chances with a 10% probability of success each time. Then there were the martial arts practice cards. Surprisingly, there were as many as 16 of them. The practice time they contained were not long. The shortest was only half a year, and the longest was only 2.5 years. The 47 Requiem cards were all extracted from people who died of fear. Su Jingxing was in no hurry to unlock them and obtain the spirit accumulation pills. He put them away for now. There were 8 memory cards, 3 of which contained memories of martial artists when they were alive, and 5 of ordinary people. Su Jingxing skimmed through them, but they were of no help to him. There were 192 skill cards. Most of them were life skills, and they were repeated. A small portion of them were martial arts, but were basically low-level ones. Su Jingxing took a few quick glances and put them away as backup. 204 equipment cards, weapons, kitchenware, books, and so on, a bunch of useful and useless daily equipment. There were 86 true energy cards with varying cultivation ages. The shortest was 1 year, and the longest was 11 years. 957 internal force cards, just a few dozen away from breaking through the 1,000 mark. The years of cultivation ranged from 3 years to 16 years. Su Jingxing first unlocked all the internal force cards and absorbed them to convert them into true energy cultivation. Then, he unlocked all the true energy cards to fuse them together to convert them into true essence cultivation. Finally, he unlocked 3 spare True Essence cards and absorbed them, raising his True Essence cultivation to 200 years. The remaining cards were all Essence Energy cards and Strength Enhancement cards. There were too many of them, so Su Jingxing didn't unlock them. Instead, he sorted them and stored them away. Then, he unlocked the 2 deduction cards and deduced the last part of the Tiangang Demon Suppression hand. After using up the 2 cards, he finally completed the Tiangang Demon Suppression hand. Without stopping, Su Jingxing took out 16 martial arts practice cards and unlocked them one by one to cultivate the Tiangang Demon Suppression hand. When all the martial arts practice cards were used up, Su Jingxing's control over the Tiangang Demon Suppression hand had successfully reached the advanced level. At this level, it should be able to eliminate the demonic energy, right? Su Jingxing pondered as he sensed the mysteries of the soul skill. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat. A bad feeling struck him from afar. Before Su Jingxing could use the 6 comets records to divine what kind of threat it was. The sky above his head, thousands of meters above the ground, distorted strangely. Like water waves, ripples first appeared, then the entire surface of the water shook. Then, under Su Jingxing's shocked gaze, the clouds in the sky instantly scattered and disappeared. A face with unclear facial features but exuding a domineering and dignified aura appeared. It was huge and boundless, hanging high in the sky, covering the sun and overlooking the land. Who is it? Who is this person? Who could possess such a powerful ultimate technique? In Su Jingxing's shock, he sensed that the huge face that appeared in the sky was not formed from true energy or worldly energy. Instead, it was a kind of projection. Yes, a projection. A mirror image secret ability for one to project his face into the sky through a certain treasure. Although his facial features had been blurred, his realm was still very high. It was impossible to control such a treasure that could project images across domains without a high realm. So. Ha ha ha. A laugh that reverberated through the sky and ground suddenly sounded. The voice echoed back and forth from south to north, east to west. Ha, you nation's new martial sage. Do you see me? Swish. Su Jingxing's expression changed drastically. Martial sage. New martial sage. D****, this fellow with the giant face projection is a martial sage from another country. New Chu. The owner of the huge face in the air was the martial sage of the New Chu nation. Su Jingxing's thoughts raced and his expression was solemn. Almost at the same time, the loud voice that reverberated through the sky sounded again. New martial sage of the Yu nation, I'm from the New Chu nation. I'm sure you've guessed it. That's right. I've heard that you've replaced the old fart to become the new kingdom defending martial sage. I'm here to congratulate you. To show my sincerity, I'll prepare a sumptuous feast on the giant shark island in the East Sea in 7 days. I hope you can come by then. I have a lot of free time. I'll wait on Giant Shark Island until sunset. If you do not arrive before sunset, when the sun rises the next day, I will come to the Yu Nation and personally treat you to a drink. Ha ha ha. His confident and arrogant laughter reverberated through the air. The huge face that hung high in the sky slowly dissipated and the air returned to normal. However, the information revealed in these few sentences was 2F** King shocking. New Chu's martial sage and the new martial sage of the Yu Nation. Before this, ordinary people, most martial artists, and even some martial artists in the top ranks did not know about martial sages at all. They weren't sure what the concept of a martial sage was either. Su Jingxing didn't understand why the existence of the kingdom defending martial sage wasn't shared with the people too. It wasn't until he stepped into the void world, learned of its origins and personally killed a void world monster did he understand the reason. Simple. What did the kingdom defending martial sage guard? The void world. Why? Because there were terrifying monsters in the void world. If no one intercepted or killed these monsters, they would invade the various countries on Earth's star and cause insolvable disasters. The self-combustion cases and storms that affected the 4 prefectures were all caused by the monsters from the void world. Once these matters were made public, it would only make the people panic. Natural disasters were not natural, but due to monsters that came from the sky. How could the ordinary people accept this? At the slightest movement, they would suspect that it was a monster. How could they live like this? Panic, shock, they would be in a constant state of anxiety. The final outcome would be chaos, chaos that spread to involve all countries and the world. Sometimes, ignorance is bliss. In order to avoid chaos, the experts of the various countries on Earth's star cut off the source of the news in ancient times. Today, New Chu's martial sage had exposed the existence of the martial sages to the world. The world was about to be alarmed. The U nation, in particular, would undoubtedly in an uproar. With an ugly expression, Jingxing headed straight for the nearest city. He found an internet cafe and went online to check the news. Indeed, the people of the 18 prefectures in the entire U nation were shocked. The giant face in the sky manifested by New Chu's martial sage was seen in all prefectures. As a result, everyone saw the giant face and heard the message. A martial sage? What martial sage? Why have I never heard of martial sages before? I've never heard of them either. Oh my God, does martial sage refer to the realm above first grade? It's the kingdom defending martial sage. The kingdom defending martial sage. The giant face in the sky was created by New Chu's martial sage. Who is the new martial sage of our country he mentioned? We're doomed, we're doomed. The New Chu nation is going to attack the U nation. Stop spreading rumors. He said it himself that it's to celebrate the promotion of our country's new martial sage. How did that become associated with war? The person above is the ignorant one. Do you really believe New Chu's martial sage is making such a big commotion just to congratulate us? Anyone with some brains knows that this giant Shark Island banquet is nothing good. Who knows, he might directly set up an ambush on the island. Not to the extent of an ambush. If martial sage is really the realm above the first grade, then New Chu's martial sage actions are most likely meant to intimidate and warn our martial sage. That's right. It's irrefutable that New Chu's martial sage is up to no good. In my opinion, our martial sage should simply skip the banquet. TCH, what a joke. He's already bluntly telling everyone that if our martial sage doesn't attend the banquet, New Chu's martial sage will come knocking on our door the next day. No one knows what will happen then. If martial sage is the realm above the first grade, the aftermath of the battle between the martial sages alone can cause countless casualties. In other words, our martial sage must attend the banquet. If not, a battle between martial sages will break out. Of course he has to go. If he doesn't, the new martial sage Chu will have an excuse to come knocking on our door. But if he does, there's an equal chance of a huge battle breaking out. Our martial sage is new. In terms of strength and experience, he probably won't be able to compare to New Chu's martial sage, right? D*M and the New Chu nation. Why won't the Xiang family go to hell? Sigh, things are getting troublesome. New Chu's martial sage invited our martial sage to a banquet in front of everyone in the country. Regardless of whether our martial sage attends or not, this matter has become serious. A war might really be coming. Look at what the person above is saying. You sound as if there has been a break in the war for so many years. Can't you see that the Golden Sparrow mountain range from 100 years ago has become the Golden Sparrow Basin now? What kind of technology did this New Chu's martial sage use to put his face in the sky? What are the theories involved? Is it optical segmentation refraction, or spatial expansion technology? If it's the former, how did he do the optical segmentation? If it's the latter, how is the stability of space maintained? Are there similar technologies in the new Chu nation? If it's neither, could it be a newly discovered holographic projection technique? The appraisal is done. The person above has gone crazy. The internet was in an uproar. The internet cafe was also in an uproar. At this moment, everyone in the U nation was involved in this sensational event. Due to the extension of the internet, the other countries in the eastern continent that had established ties with the U nation also learned the news online and created a great stir. Above first grade, suspected to be martial sage. New Chu's martial sage harbors ill intentions. What is his motive in holding a banquet for the U nation's new martial sage? Who is the old martial sage of the U nation? And who is the new martial sage? Shocking. An all-out war is about to break out between the new Chu nation and the U nation. The legend of the martial sages that you don't know. Let's find out what a martial sage is. And why is a martial sage described as kingdom defending? All kinds of headlines appeared on the internet of the other countries in the eastern continent. The more it spread, the more ridiculous it became. Even news like, U nation has been destroyed by new Chu nation, was released. In the internet cafe, Jingxing opened dozens of web pages and quickly browsed through the information. At the end, he realized that no one mentioned the words, void world, monster, disaster. Even if they did appear, they quickly disappeared. After some thought, he realized that the officials had stepped in to regulate comments. Since the words, martial sage, and, kingdom defending martial sage, had been exposed and could not be erased, they would guide the discussion towards conflict between the two nations. The citizens of the U nation knew of the new Chu nation's wild ambitions. They were especially hostile towards the upper echelons of the new Chu nation, especially the imperial family, the Xiong family. The commotion caused by new Chu's martial sage immediately increased the hatred. Anyone with normal intelligence could tell that new Chu's martial sage was up to no good. Filled with a common hatred, many people even logged into recruitment websites to join the army and fight the new Chu nation. On Earth Star, where martial arts flourished, the people were never afraid of war. Not to mention that the U nation was powerful and had many experts. They had always been ranked in the top 3 of the eastern continent. War. Who fears who? Jingxing heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. At the same time, his heart tensed up. Although the entire country was shocked, it did not cause a widespread panic. Instead, it united the people. All in all, the situation was still good. Public opinion was under official control. Apart from some conspirators and ambitious people with ulterior motives, most people were on the side of the U nation's new martial sage. As the person involved, Jingxing felt heavy pressure coming at him. Jingxing had to attend new Chu's martial sage banquet. If he didn't, he would have lost before the fight began, not to mention that new Chu's martial sage would come knocking on his door the next day. If new Chu's martial sage really came knocking on their door and made a move, it would only bring great trouble to the U nation. Even if they were to get physical, they could only do so at sea. New Chu's martial sage also knew this, so the banquet was held on Giant Shark Island. This was because he knew very well that provocation was provocation. If he forced Jingxing into a corner and his essence soul entered the new Chu nation to cause trouble, it would also cause large-scale casualties. Basically, the kingdom-defending martial sages of the various nations would not rashly enter the territories of other nations. The function of the kingdom-defending Jade Seal would only be effective in the air above their native territory. At this point, taking action was unavoidable. What Jingxing had to consider was how to remain undefeated under the pressure of new Chu's martial sage. He could not win nor could he lose. Of course, there was a high chance that he wouldn't win either. To Jingxing, a draw was his greatest victory. U nation's capital. Cabinet. The members rushed over and gathered in the conference hall. Thump thump. The Prime Minister knocked on the table and said calmly, "Share your views, everyone. How should we handle this?" I just want to know about the old martial sage, the supreme marshal of the military replied indifferently. New Chu's martial sage said that we have a new martial sage. What about the old martial sage? Dead, I guess. A deputy prime minister said calmly, when the self-combustion case happened last time, I already suspected that the old martial sage was unwell. When the wind disaster broke out, I was even more certain that something had happened to him. As expected, the two disasters that were eventually resolved thanks to the new martial sage. That's right. There's a 99% chance that the old martial sage is already dead. The new martial sage will replace him and become the new protector of the U-nation. That's why the new Chu's martial sage came knocking on our door. In that case, we no longer need to be wary of the Xia family. Needless to say, regardless of whether the old martial sage is dead or not, the Xia family's good days are over. Hee hee. Excitement filled the conference hall. Cough. The Prime Minister held back his laughter and coughed lightly. He said calmly, let's put everything else aside for now. What we need to discuss now is what we need to do since new Chu's martial sage Chu has invited our new martial sage to a banquet. That's simple. Just send troops to the borders. In a mountain in the suburbs outside the capital. The Xia family's ancestral residence. In a spacious and dark underground chamber in a tall building in the southeastern corner. Pooh! A mouthful of blood suddenly spurted out from the mouth of a white-haired old man. The white-haired old man fell backward and lay on the ground. His entire body was trembling and the whites of his eyes were showing. Quick, save the third elder. Outside the secret chamber, a group of people who had heard the commotion opened the stone doors under the command of a tall, burly middle-aged man. Two people rushed in and carried the white-haired old man who was almost unconscious out of the secret chamber. They placed him on a stone table in the corner and fed him pills and water. Ahem. After a while, a trace of color returned to the white-haired old man's pale face. He leaned against the wall and slowly inhaled and exhaled. Third elder, how is it? Did you manage to contact the ancestor? A thin middle-aged man asked eagerly, what did the ancestor say? Is that new martial sage his subordinate? He must be one of us. Without the ancestor, who in the U-nation can become a martial sage? That's right. All these years, all those with potential who have hopes of becoming martial sages have received the Xia family's favor. Third elder, did the ancestor order that new martial sage to come to the Xia family to keep watch for us and help us dispel the spying of others? A group of people surrounded the white-haired old man and spoke one after another, shouting loudly. The white-haired old man calmed his breathing and did not answer. His expression was ugly. Shut up, all of you. Seeing this, the tall, burly middle-aged man shouted angrily and reprimanded, shut up. Are you done talking? Is this the time for you to be making a din? If you don't want to hear the ancestor's message at the first moment, get out and wait outside. Silence. After a while, someone muttered in a low voice, well, we were feeling anxious, weren't we? Swish. The tall, burly middle-aged man turned to look at him with a cold gaze. The muttering immediately disappeared. The group forced themselves to restrain themselves and remained silent. Third elder, you speak. The tall, burly middle-aged man retracted his gaze and looked at the white-haired old man. The ancestor. The white-haired old man took a deep breath and said sadly, is dead. What do you mean? The thin middle-aged man was first stunned when he heard this. Then, he widened his eyes and growled, how could he be dead? He is the martial sage. How could he be gone all of a sudden? Huh? Speak, speak. How could the ancestor be dead? Thud. A bright clap sounded. It was the tall and burly middle-aged man. He swung a slap on the thin middle-aged man. One half of the latter's face swelled and he fell to the ground. What's with the shouting? The tall and burly middle-aged man with a grim expression swept his fierce gaze across everyone and shouted, "All of you, listen up. No one is allowed to leak this matter. If anyone does, I'll kill him." Everyone shuddered and did not dare to make a sound. Ahem. The white-haired old man coughed and sighed. It wasn't easy for the ancestor to last until today. Now that he's gone, everyone in the family should behave themselves in the future. As for the new martial sage, I haven't contacted the ancestor and I can't sense his existence. I wonder if the ancestor had given the new martial sage any instructions about us before he left. If he did, that would be for the best. If not. No. The ancestor must have left behind his last words and asked the new martial sage to take care of us. A voice sounded from the crowd and interrupted anxiously. That's right. We are the descendants of the ancestor. It's impossible that he wouldn't find someone to take care of us. Find the new martial sage and tell him to come forward and help us continue to rule in the capital. We can give him money, spirit weapons, spirit herbs, women. The new martial sage is also a human. It's impossible for him not to like these things. However, the new martial sage should be busy with new choose martial sage next. He probably won't have time to care about us. That's fine. Don't we still have 7 days? We can just get him to come over these 2 days. He's just showing his face. How long can it take? That's right, contact the new martial sage immediately. Do you have a way to contact him? The tall and burly middle-aged man interrupted coldly and said expressionlessly, "Do you know who the new martial sage is and which prefecture he belongs to?" Hearing this, the clamoring people shut up again. Humph. Seeing this, the tall middle-aged man shouted coldly and stopped looking at them. His gaze returned to the white-haired old man and he said softly, "Third elder, I'll have to trouble you to divine where the new martial sage is from and his current location." "I'll try my best." The third elder exhaled, stood up, walked back into the secret chamber, and closed the stone door. In the center of the secret chamber, a deduction platform that contained the power of heavenly secrets and divination began to rotate under the control of the white-haired old man, emitting light. But before long. Pooh! The white-haired old man spat out another mouthful of blood and flew backward, crashing to the ground. This time, before he could catch his next breath, he fainted. Before his consciousness dissipated, he heard the stone door of the secret chamber open and a few people rushing. He also heard someone shouting that Xia Huankong had injured a member of the Chen family. How could he injure someone at a time like this? Someone from the Chen family at that? The white-haired old man was shocked and furious. He wanted to roar, but he had already fainted. Internet Cafe. Su Jingxing's main body suddenly raised his head and looked at the sky above him. His gaze seemed to penetrate the void. Who's spying on me? While the 9 souls ring blocked the divination, Su Jingxing's essence soul could counter-divine and counterattack. If the other party's mental power was not strong, he could even die on the spot from the retaliation.